Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking to you about my current training split, the way I've set it up, and I'm going to be diving into one of my sessions, the exercise choices that I've selected, current rep ranges, certain volume targets that I have for the week, and why in which I've chosen these particular exercises and the way in which I'm going about this training split whilst I'm in my current fat loss phase. So let's get into it. So I'm currently following a full body training split, which I'm doing 3 times a week. It isn't your traditional full body training split. I'm not hitting every single muscle group every single session, although I am hitting majority of them in most sessions. It does look a little bit different to your traditional setup that you would normally do. I'm going to be diving in a little bit deeper on session 2 of the week, which I would normally do on a Wednesday. So sessions are programmed Monday, Wednesday and Friday. But I have a Wednesday session recorded, so I'm going to be going in depth of my current goals within the session, obviously exercises as well, so I will jump that up right now. So the first exercise of my second session is a machine chest press. I'm a huge fan of this variation. I find it to be extremely stable and when in a surplus, extremely easy to progressively overload on, which obviously is not my current goal at the moment. I'm just looking to maintain my current rep maxes, but there's very little stability demands, super easy to set up, so it's really quick and easy to get started into it. And I'm finding it to be extremely beneficial in just currently maintaining my rep maxes. I don't have to worry about a spotter. I don't have to worry about getting the dumbbells up or the barbell set in place. It's just straight set and go as soon as you hit the weight. I work at a very high intensity. So as I said before, my current goals are to just maintain my rep maxes. And I find the easiest way for me personally to do that without increasing too much fatigue is to keep a low rep range. So I'm working within the 5 to 6 rep range generally for this exercise. I might blow it out to 8 reps if it's feeling particularly light on the day. But doing 2 top sets only for this exercise and just trying to maintain within that 5 to 8 rep range. And as you can see, I'm pushing quite hard here and reaching close to failure, if not maybe 1 rep in reserve. And that's pretty much what I do for all sessions across the week. So second exercise of this session is a chest supported machine row. Again, very easy to set up. I'm a big fan of chest supported variations for targeting the upper back. So this is obviously a trap and upper back focused movement. Just focusing on full range of motion, getting a big stretch as during the eccentric phase, and then just trying to retract the scapula and get a good contraction through the upper back as in the concentric phase. Again, following the same principles as last time, I'm trying to keep a relatively low rep range. I work in the 6 to 8 rep range for this exercise. I find 5 reps is just a little bit awkward for me. It might be slightly heavy and I find it difficult to maintain good form. So I do up the reps by maybe 1 or 2 on this one, aiming to hopefully hit around that 7 to 8 rep mark. But again, only 2 top sets and just trying to push it to failure, which I think I achieved in this set, or at least very close to sort of within 1 rep of failure. This exercise in particular for my back is my second back movement of the week. So the Monday I'll do a lat pull down. This is my only upper back focused movement, I guess you would call it, throughout the week. And then these are the only 2 back exercises that I'll do. And I will get a little bit of stimulus from some RDLs that I would do on a Friday session. The third exercise of the session is a machine hip thrust. I'm a huge fan of this variation over the barbell or even Smith machine hip thrusts, as I find it to be a much more convenient setup. It's faster to set up as well as being a little bit more comfortable. A big part in the reason why we reach failure is due to our perception of effort, obviously. And things like whether an exercise is uncomfortable to perform does play a part in that. And I'm sure many of you have done barbell hip thrust before where you've either had a really shitty pad or your bench that you've set up on is a little bit awkward or it's painful, there's not enough padding and it's feeling it through your back. That plays a part in you reaching failure earlier than you potentially could have if the setup was a lot more comfortable, which allows me to push the intensity up even higher and get more out of the exercise. So this is the only exercise I perform throughout the week where glutes are the main focus for the movement. They would obviously be hit in other compound movements. I do a leg press and an RDL or stiff leg deadlift variation. However, my main focuses for those movements are the quads and the hamstrings in the stiff leg deadlift. But obviously they are getting worked in those days and they're on both the Monday and Friday sessions. A big reason why I've chosen the machine hip thrust is because it's a short position movement. I find that the recovery time and the fatigue induced from this exercise is a lot less than those that would be done on a glute focused lengthened position movement, something like a step back lunge or a Bulgarian split squat done in a glute focused manner, would require a lot more recovery time and would cause a lot more muscle damage, which could affect later sessions in the week. So I find I'm able to hit this on the Wednesday session and it's not affecting my RDLs or stiff leg deadlifts on the Friday session just a day or two later. Again, in this movement, I'm doing 2 working sets within the 6 to 8 rep range. So moving on to the next exercise, it's a single hand machine preacher curl. This is the only bicep isolation work that I'll do all week. So at this point, this is Wednesday, back end of the Wednesday session. I would have already done a lat pull down on the Monday session, and then obviously you saw a machine seated row earlier on in this session. They're my only 2 pulling movements that I'll do for the week. So now I've given myself enough time to kind of hit some arms and it not affect later pulling movements that I'm obviously not going to be doing until next week. So there's plenty of time to recover. So I hit only 2 sets for this movement. The reason I've chosen this particular exercise is because it's a unilateral exercise. It's going to target the biceps or increase the motor unit recruitment within the exercise for the biceps a little bit more than a bilateral exercise would. So I'm getting a little bit more bang for my buck. Just trying to absolutely maximize any potential hypertrophy stimulus for the biceps, considering it's done at the back end of a session and it's the only movement that I'm doing all week to stimulate any sort of growth. So just basically doing everything I can to try and stop them from obviously losing any mass, but it's maintaining mass is the main thing. Again, that movement is completed within the 5 to 8 rep range, and I find that rep range is perfectly fine for me to still maintain good form and it not to feel too awkward. There's very few movements that I do in any of my sessions where I'll go above 8 reps, but there are a couple. And the only reason for that is just because when I personally do a lower rep range, it feels awkward for me to do it. So then I will generally extend it up a little bit higher, but this is not one of those. Last exercise of the session, again, following the unilateral train of thought, trying to hit it as best as I can, is the tricep pushdown or a single hand tricep pushdown on the cable machine. Again, working within the 5 to 8 rep range and using the wrist cuffs. I'm a huge fan of the wrist cuffs. You don't have to worry about gripping any of the handles or ropes. And again, obviously, I like this setup. Again, just trying to train as hard as I can, getting as much motor unit recruitment as possible, as it is my only tricep exercise for the week. So that brings us to the end of the second session that I would normally do for the week. Again, just recapping a few of the things that I mentioned. I'm picking very, very stable exercises because at the moment all I'm looking to do is maintain my current muscle mass while in this fat loss phase. I stick to a very low rep range for majority of my movements, or all of these movements in this current session. One, because it induces less post-workout fatigue. The less reps you do, the less muscle damage that will occur, the easier it is for you to recover, whilst you're still able to produce a decent hypertrophy stimulus, or as good, if not better, hypertrophy stimulus than any other rep range. Again, training at a very high intensity. I'm leaving either no reps or 1 rep in reserve, and just trying to maintain my current rep maxes to maintain as much muscle as possible and potentially get the smallest chance of gaining some muscle whilst in this fat loss phase. And that is just the basics that I kind of stick with for everything. And 2 top sets only is what I'm working with. I know I'm able to get majority of a hypertrophy stimulus that I'm going to be able to produce is going to come in those first 2 sets anyway. So I'm just basically spreading my volume out throughout the week as best as I possibly can to kind of keep inducing a hypertrophy stimulus and not have too much time off where there's a chance that my muscles could atrophy. So taking that approach throughout this whole fat loss phase, and we're 4 weeks in, so far so good. But that is it for this video. If anyone has any questions about my training or anything that you want me to touch on further, let me know in the comments below. But if not, I will see you in the next video.